Hello, and welcome to Check Out This Guy. You have spent most of your life in your simple village. For various reasons, you and your friends have longed for something more than this simple way of life, be it cravings for adventure, fame, riches, to prove yourself, and so on. For ages, there have been tales of stars disappearing from the night sky. However, it almost seems a normal occurrence to you, even though you notice how the elders are frightened as it happens more and more often. Some patches of the night sky are now a pure, uneasy darkness, but last night there was a brilliant display of lights and thunder as everyone witnessed a shooting star. This is your chance. You're going to find the shooting star and maybe even find out why the sky is going dark. So, I'm Izzy, and that was my pitch to the players for a Fellowship sequel.
I'm Emory. My pronouns are they, she, he, and I played Fellowship.
I'm
Twice.
Quatre. I'm Quatre. My pronouns are they, he, she, and I did not play Fellowship.
One day you will become one of us. Potentially, if you want to.
If time zones allow it.
So true.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so we're talking about all the lights in the sky today, which is the name of the campaign. It's it's the as Izzy mentioned, it's the sequel to Otherworldly Company, which we talked a lot about with Dan on a previous episode.
Yeah.
We also talked about it on the Gillian Xenu episode. So there's
Yeah, it's 20 years later.
Yeah.
And there's some crossover, but it's mostly new. There is some ESO in it, but yeah, and also the majority of the characters did not integrate the majority of the players did not integrate their characters into that blurb, but that's okay.
Yeah,
I'm only saying that because you're gonna be. This is mostly you talking about your character, and they don't really fit into that.
Yeah, my character
so I didn't
had
want to cause confusion.
My character had a much stupider call to action, which was go out into space and try to prove that anime is real.
I love that. That's
Yes.
amazing.
Yeah, so let us check out this particular guy.
Yeah, is this really going to be a mostly Vortex episode?
Well, I mean, that's
I want to hear. Okay.
I mean, we can start it out that way, or I mean, we can just kind of do an overview of the plot. Which do you think should be done first?
Let's.
I would like to get an overview first.
I need to stop. Okay, I'm skipping like a record a little bit here.
Okay.
Let's talk about the plot. There we go.
Okay.
That was a sentence.
All right. I'll do this quick plot summary. Recapping, there was this funny little guy, literally named Little Guy, who was, kind of a living weapon who, kind of came out of Xenu during the first campaign, and he wanted to go take the fight to the Void because that was going to be a problem eventually. And it was definitely becoming a problem because, as the little intro thing said, stars have been disappearing. And so there is this. So Little Guy builds a ship. On its maiden voyage, it happens to go to the sky above a planet named Ours. And there are a couple different peoples who live on Ours, the Elfin and the Ogres. Treble, who is Morg's character, was an ogre, and Arla, who was Patrick's character, was an elfin. Now, there were some crew members on that ship, one of which was your character, and then also there were some NPCs. There were Dal and Jolene, and also when the ship showed up, because this was not a normal spaceship, it had no method of propulsion, it just teleported. But it did teleport into the path of a couple mail carriers from the ISPS, and caused their interstellar mail truck to crash. And that was Dan's two characters that he played at the same time, Ronnie and Gamble. Ronnie and Gamble were a Bocald and a Kobold. And is that enough of an intro for you? Or do you want me to do the overall plot of the whole thing?
I mean, yeah, why not at least talk about the void a little bit, because that's kind of the main thrust of the thing is that we the universe is dying and we gotta try to find a way to fix it.
Yeah, so from if this is your first episode that you're listening to this podcast, and if you're starting on episode 41, interesting choice. But we've talked about the void before. The void is kind of just this sentient universe that has been eating other universes. It's not really intelligent. It's just mostly operating on instinct because
it's just a little hungry.
Not only is it hungry, but it's a literal eat or be eaten thing, because the way I kind of went and retconned magic to work was you were pulling energy or matter from another universe. So whenever someone did void magic, it was like it was being eaten. So it instinctually started eating other universes, and making them part of itself.
I'm gonna real quick interject, but hey, remember our previous podcast? This reminds me a bit of Gula's Gamamon. Amazing.
A little
Great
bit.
Concept.
Absolutely. Yes.
Also, if you'll allow me to get your ass a little bit, it does remind me an awful lot of the D Reaper from Tamers.
But guess what? I don't think I had seen Tamers yet when I planned this out.
I'm certain that you had, I don't know. We watched that so long ago for Digimon Days.
I think you may be forgetting how long ago we started this campaign.
Yeah, 3. Well, God.
I will tell you this. We started about midway through Ghost Game.
Yeah.
So anyway, the first arc of the campaign was just the players kind of running around, going to various planets, solving problems, trying to gather resources to eventually fight the void, which was coming into this universe mainly in a rift in space above ours. But midway through, I mean, there was a lot that went on at various places that we can get into either today or in a future episode. But midway through, hey, that void problem got a whole heck of a lot worse. The ship, got screwed up. Little guy seemingly sacrificed himself to save the party and send them to Iso, which was the only, known place that might be safe, that they would probably have allies. And, ours kind of got eaten by the void. Followed by a whole heck of a lot of other places, too. And then the second arc was just going around trying to take out the 4 generals that the Void had created, 2 of which were based off of characters that were linked to the Void from the first campaign. Gilly, who had resisted the corruption of the Void, and Jericho, who was doing a lot of void magic. And then there was also a scientist from ESO who did a lot of experimentation on void stuff by the name of Dr. Darlene Darling. And the 4th one was this ogre patron by the name of Scott and Summer, who had been like a void worshipper thousands of years ago, and kind of in a Sarlacc situation had been being digested for thousands of years.
Yummy.
Yeah, and so, it went as campaigns normally go, and the party kicked some asses and saved the galaxy. Hooray.
We did it. Yay.
I just talked a heck of a lot. I'm gonna take a drink.
You deserve that drink.
Yeah, so I guess now is the time to talk about my horrible little freak.
Uh-huh.
Oh boy. Professor Saris Vortex. What a... Boy. Not even sure how... Well... She loves anime is the first thing you need to know about her. The second thing you need to know about her is that she is an alien from the planet Vispa, and everyone on Vispa are hyper-intelligent slime beings. So she's a scientist, she's super smart by, most... by the standards of, most, beings in the universe. Yeah, she, make no mistake, she's also a complete dumbass. But amongst her own people, she was just, very, very normal and unremarkable. Also, just terrible at making friends, no social skills whatsoever.
If you say she's normal, does that mean that is just an entire people of freaks?
Vortex is the most freak, I think.
I got the sense that Vortex was atypical.
Yeah, no, listen, here's how much of a freak Vortex is. When I say slime beings, it is a mostly underwater society. Everyone's just kind of drifting around all amorphous, it's kind of everything about the architecture and the world and the language. I wanted to make very alien, so all the buildings are just kind of shaped out of natural formations. It's not it's just kind of it's it's underwater cities, but not in the Atlantis sense, just people built stuff here, and, you know, because it's underwater, like, you know, they can build things, like, much higher and, like, with different materials, and also everyone's an amorphous blob. I really can't overemphasize this enough. They communicate by, like...
Yeah. What's their language?
Oh, they communicate with like patterns of flashing lights by like lighting up the you know, bioluminescent parts of their, you know, cells.
Hey audience. All of this is why the party never visited that planet.
Yeah.
Rude.
And but Professor Sarah's Vortex somehow got her hands on some anime and became so obsessed with it that she decided to start consciously shaping herself into a person, like a humanoid shape, and like creating vocal cords to speak with in a verbal language, which is English because she only watches dubs, and and you know, is generally just like you know, just decided to do this before she had ever even left the planet and encountered like humans and other humanoids. So
you say leave the planet, but
by leave the planet I get isekai'd, and by isekai'd I mean she did die.
She did die.
She did die, which is very unusual for her.
But she survived, so it's fine.
Do we want to go ahead and do content warning?
God, we'll get there.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, just very briefly, like, we're gonna be talking about suicidal ideation some with regards to this particular character. Yeah, so I'll also mention it like before it comes up, but yeah. Mm-hmm. So she died. She got hit by the isekai truck. I don't know why that was on her planet. Must have been some void magic. Yeah, she got
I can tell you why.
Why?
Her connection to the Earth internet.
That, you know, yeah, the reason she found anime is because just like suddenly on Vispa, just like they like got a Wi-Fi signal and were like able to connect to the internet, just because like the Void was putting like funny holes in the universe and making things kind of fucky. So Vortex gets reincarnated on Iso, as you do. Mm-hmm. You know, still a slime person, very lucky for her that she decided to, like, learn how to be a humanoid and speak English, because, those skills came in very useful for her there. So, and, you know, I mentioned, you know, she was in academia, like, didn't really make any sort of contributions that anyone like paid attention to or were interested in. Like, you know, she's, you know, a fairly decent like genetics researcher, but, you know, not in a way that like caught anyone's attention or like got her any sort of like recognition until she found out about anime, and then she sort of shifted her field of studies to trying to scientifically prove that anime is real. That
is such important research.
'Cause she's a fucking freak, as stated. So, you know, and you know, on this new planet, she hears about this guy called the Demon Lord. Supposedly the Demon Lord is this big hero, but that can't possibly be right. Demon Lords are always the bad guy, unless it's like a deliberate genre subversion, which doesn't count. I guess I should speak a little bit about, like, sort of the inspirations for Professor Vortex. Like, there's a whole bunch of them. Like, I could go through a huge list, but, like, one of the big ones, which I was not really planning going into it, was Phosphophilite from Land of the Lustrous. Go listen to our Land of the Lustrous episode over on We Rate Queerbait for more about that guy. But kind of like the one that I started with, and I don't think I've said this anywhere before. I have this memory from when I was a kid of one of my dad's, like, engineer friends, like coming over to visit. And, you know, like, me and my siblings were, like, playing a video game or something. And, you know, this guy said, oh, they should make video games so that when you die once, you can't play it anymore, because that's how it is in real life. And,
Wow.
you know, I think he was probably joking, but, like, that just kind of like the idea of a guy who is, like, semi-willfully just, like, not getting the, you know, just, like, not really getting it, and is going to be, like, mildly annoying about it because of it. Like, that's where Vortex comes from.
Uh-huh. Vortex, who I both love and hate.
A bit like how Vortex looks at herself, I guess.
A little bit, yeah. So it's kind of like the idea where, like, playing this character is like, you know, I'm gonna say a lot of completely ridiculous stuff all the time, of course, because that's just how I play a character. I'm also gonna be, like, you know, annoyingly literal, just, like, you know, like, criticize people for, like, they're, you know, making, like, irrational choices, but also you'd be, like, completely, you know, have a complete double standard when it, you know, when it comes to, like, Vortex's own stuff, you know, like, just kind of be, like, that really annoying, like, contrarian, like, pedantic nerd, but, like, funny, you know?
So just, if you'll let me break in here just a second. So one of the things that we discovered early on was I had created an NPC to have a lot of things in common with Vortex, and was, like, designed to be Vortex's friend. And Vortex was absolutely terrible to her.
Oh.
I am talking about Gal. Who, they even body swapped. They did a Freaky Friday, and it only made things worse.
It made things better in some respects, but also worse in some respects.
How? I'm gonna ask how.
Gosh. I mean, it did make Vortex realize, well, shit, I've been really mean to this person, and I do actually feel bad about that. But then, like, then she started, like, trying, like, a little bit too hard to be friends with her, and when it didn't work, she just kind of got mad.
Vortex has some issues.
Oh,
yeah.
I actually like what happened because it let a lot of things happen for both characters. So it let me do a lot of stuff with NPCs, and I think it did help with Vortex's character growth.
Yeah. So Yeah, Vortex kind of, understandably had a lot of sort of shaky relationships with people to start. And then kind of my idea for her is that she would change playbooks from the Rain to the mascot. And then she would learn to support and, support her friends and also rely on more on her friends, in the process. And, that's what I was going for. It maybe got, maybe took some detours on the way, but we got there eventually. Yeah, so the Rain playbook was extremely fun to play for Vortex, because it's just you're amorphous. You can, shape your body into anything you want, and yeah, I had... Yeah, I also got, a move from a different playbook, which is just, you can... I got, Curious Curios from the Collector playbook, which, lets you take your gear and, modify it with, so, you could, you can, give things like the area tag so that it hits, a whole area, or, the you can make things move automatically, or just do a bunch of interesting stuff with your gear. But for the Rain playbook, their gear is their body, so I could do a lot of fucking really cool things. I remember in one of the early boss fights, earlier in the fight, I had, separated off a piece of my slime and, sort of, gave it the, sort of automated command to, form into a spike ball and pierce through the thing that was trying to eat it. And then later I, crawled inside of a mech, and just sort of, started destroying it from the inside. And then, the mech, fucking... just rattled me around a lot, and did some damage, but then I was oh, now my body is, completely broken up into all these little pieces, and they're all gonna, react to the command from earlier, so just, her entire body turned into spikes, and fucking speared this thing, just a lot, and then, and then, because Rain playbooks are really fucking hard to kill, she just, came back together after that, feeling a little loopy, but, again, Vispians are really hard to kill. It's an anomaly that she died when she got hit by the isekai truck.
I love how good your character designs always are. You come up with the best ideas.
Thank you.
Also, hi, Morg.
And hi, Morg. Yeah, I was just talking about Vortex. Yeah, I'm not sure what we're gonna do. Elvir might drop out when they have to go to bed if we feel like running a little bit longer. But
I think this one's gonna run a little bit long.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it will.
Yeah, I did a very, very brief summary of kind of the overarching plot of the campaign,
of which I obviously remember everything.
And
pop quiz? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, and Emmy's been talking about Vortex, which is kind of the main event here, but you are on one of the very early sessions still.
Yeah.
But I'm here as long as you want to talk about Vortex, though.
Yeah. I can speed it up a little. I was just going to get to Okay. But yeah, I was just kind of getting to she changed into the mascot playbook, and the mascot is basically, you're just like a little critter. You're like the cat that follows Sailor Moon around, and basically your thing is you give your other team members healing and power ups. So she kind of went from just like a very destructive, like very versatile character, and then to like a pure support character, like very, very quickly. And the way that was like represented in story is just like she just kind of like lost most of her body. Like she just kind of like stopped. She just kind of like stopped being able to hold it together. So like most of her slime just kind of gooped off of her, and she couldn't really pull it back together. So she just kind of turned into like this little like slime rancher blob. Just kind of like a little blob with a face and some kitty cat ears. So
I'm sure she was adorable.
Yeah, I am forever gonna be like, you remember that I did the math on that?
Okay, I did say maybe like a 2-foot diameter. I think it was probably smaller than that. Yeah. Like maybe like 20 inches at most. I don't know. That's still. I don't know. I don't trust the math though.
Spheres have a lot more mass of them than you would think.
Mm-hmm.
She is very heavy originally, though, too.
Yeah,
she was, very dense.
Yeah, she was like over 6 foot tall and also like chubby, though. So I don't think your math is necessarily right there. She's like a lot bigger than like an average person, which for like whatever like fucking volumetric calculation of what a person is like. She's bigger than that.
I think she was like heavy. Like I think someone, maybe Izzy, did a calculation on her like human original form, and it was also like very heavy though.
I'm doing my best to kind of get revenge and bully Emmy a little bit this episode.
Fair.
So imagine a sphere and do the physics of it. No, except she's literally a sphere.
Imagine 4 balls on the edge of a cliff.
She's literally a sphere.
No, don't.
I'm not even sure I remember what pi is. We can't be doing these calculations.
It's yummy.
Did you talk... So true. Did you talk about how she is pink now because of the sparkles?
Yeah, because Gal dumped a bucket of glitter on her, which is the worst thing you can do to a slime girl.
Apparently.
And I was like...
Jolene put her up to it.
It's not blue?
She still did it.
Jolene convinced her it would be a funny prank because Vortex was being a jerk.
And this was happening like right as she was undergoing like the mascot transformation. So I was like, oh, wait a minute. Actually, this is perfect. She's pink and sparkly now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because like
prime mascot aesthetic.
Normally she would have just, like absorbed the sparkles into her.
And digested them.
I hate that word now.
She's just like the void, though.
And yeah, I think eventually she did sort of like process them in some capacity, but like it did render her permanently pink.
Yeah. And that wasn't exactly why she became really small, but we didn't really realize that till later, like what happened there.
Yeah.
Which is fun. And by fun, I mean it was bad for Vortex. She had a very bad time.
Yeah, so she spent some time as the mascot, and then I was like, man, I really enjoyed like playing the Rain playbook. That was fun. I do want to go back to that eventually, but then I was like, actually that's kind of the wrong decision. Actually, I don't think I should like reverse that choice I made now that Vortex has kind of become like a disability metaphor. I think I should actually go with something different and like send her in a new direction instead of like, making her the old Vortex. So then I was like, all right, what if I did the Tinker playbook? The Tinker is just like a little guy, but they build a mech suit. So I was like, yeah, I think that works perfectly for Vortex. And then I've talked about Vortex's Tinker design on the sex appeal episode, because I was just like, what if I make like a horny anime mecha design, but like push it way too far to the point where it becomes like a little bit horror?
I freaking love both of the designs for Mech Suit Vortex.
Yeah,
they're good.
Thank you.
They're very good. With this first one, yeah, she's like very naked, very spider legs on her. She's got, even though she's less gloopy, she's got gloopy nanobots. I guess, like, there's just a lot happening with her design, and you said it was like a pain in the ass to draw.
The spider legs were the worst part.
Yeah. But it's... Man, did you even, like... So, because I don't know if I talked about this on the Trouble episode, but we kind of started over again, and, like, what you ended up doing was, like, the Tinker playbook was, like, after we kind of did the starting over again situation, right?
Yeah, also the Tinker Playbook Switch is also about the same time the content warning began.
Yeah, okay, so let's get into that. Okay, content warning...
Slimegirl Hell is not real. You made it up and it's not real.
Content warning, Slimegirl Hell is real. Also, we're going to be talking about suicidal ideation.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know. It's more the suicidal ideation, I think.
Yeah.
I think I was
that.
just saying that because the whole Slimegirl Hell not real, in parentheses, happened immediately before Sparkle.
Yeah, So yeah, there's a big fight. Little guy looks like he dies. The ship gets blown up. Not really, though. It gets damaged, and they all have to teleport away from it. The teleporter malfunctions. Everyone gets scattered to the winds. They end up on Iso, but they're separated. And this is happening as like Vortex's body is like further deteriorating, because like the kind of archetype of the Tinker that I wanted to pick was like the cyborg, and with the cyborg, like, you are your mech suit, you can't be separated from it. So I was like, okay, I think like that means like Vortex is like whatever's happening to her is like causing her to like further deteriorate to the point where like she is like having trouble like maintaining even like a simple set of features, or like even like being fully mobile on her own. So as she's like, like traveling around, like trying to reconnect with her friends, like this is just like further happening to her, and she's like becoming like less and less like able to like move or speak or do anything. So
very sad.
Yeah. And while this is all happening, I'm like, Izzy, I need a mech suit. Please give me the things I need to build a mech suit.
And I kept on trying different things. The thing was, Vortex would not play nice with anyone she met.
So eventually she just has to like fucking go dumpster diving for robot parts and builds like a shitty falling apart trash mech suit out of it. And as she's like as she's like sinking to the bottom of a fucking trash pile, like on the verge of giving up on life, a shitty little voice starts speaking to her.
You specifically asked for someone to bully Vortex.
I mean, yeah, but I meant in a funny way, not in a,
well,
tells her that she should just die way.
Wait, but hold up. Like, I created the character for you or set things in motion, and then you played that character for the rest of the campaign.
Okay, listen.
Yeah, she did get meaner. I think it did get meaner and meaner after.
Yeah,
Izzy
listen. Okay,
you go with it.
Listen, I think we were both in a very, very rough headspace around the time of this campaign. Like,
agreed.
I will take responsibility for most of this. Me
too. This is the thing I regret about the campaign is Sparkle's vibes were so rancid.
Yeah.
To be honest, it can be so good to just have an outlet for some of your own bad feelings in that way. I think it's one of the healthiest things you could have done.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, I was having a pretty bad time in my life at this point. Like, still living with my parents, like, doing the fucking night shift, retail job, and also, like, definitely, like, needed an increase in my meds, so I wasn't doing well, and I was absolutely channeling that into my funny anime weirdo.
Yeah. And so you bullied her, like, you...
Yeah, I did.
More or less, you, Sparkle was a character that came about because of all that, but like we said, in the game itself, it came about because of the way Visvian, like, organelles work.
Yeah. Yeah, like, it was actually very fun, like, doing the world building of Sparkle, and Morg, you got in on it too, and you had a bunch of really cool ideas for that, so... basically...
Like, finally, my bio degree is coming in handy.
Yeah, so basically, what Sparkle is essentially, like, a symbiote, like, so I mentioned that, like, the Visvians, like, have, like, a light-based communication, like, using, like, bioluminescent organelles in their body. Like, those organelles were, like, originally a different species that kind of, like, got incorporated into the Visvians, like, through the course of their evolution. And and just, like, because of all, like, the weird shit and exposure to, like, magic and, alien, alien environments that Vortex had been going through, like, just, like, this thing, these organelles started like forming their own consciousness and, like, consciously, like, changing Vortex's body and, like, overwriting, like, the way her magic works in order to, like, basically parasitizing her. And like, at this point, like, where she is, like, in a big trash pile, it, like, actually manifests itself as, like, a ball of light and talks to her, but, like, only talks through, like, the Visvian flashing language, so Vortex is the only one who can understand it. So this funny little guy, Sparkle, is basically just, like, a suicidal ideation voice for Vortex that, like, no one else can hear.
Yeah, can you imagine your, like, mitochondria, like, coming to life and just calling you a dumb bitch? Like, that's
yeah, pretty much.
a lot.
Yeah.
That's what having depression is like, though.
Yeah.
What a terrible powerhouse of the cell.
That would do terrible things to my psyche. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, my funny anime character just, like, turned into a metaphor for my depression. Oops.
Yeah.
It happens every
hand,
time.
If I saw Vriska, I would also not be expecting her to be nice to me.
Vriska? Man.
Yeah, so Sparkle does die eventually. They do.
They try to,
but for a long time. But for a long time, I was like, "Shit, what the fuck do I do about this? I'm not having fun playing this character anymore. She's too sad now. What do I do?"
No,
and then,
and I'm over here. The rest of us, especially me, are like, we hate Sparkle. Can we kill Sparkle?
It was fun.
One thing I want.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say one thing I want to add before we move too far ahead in the timeline. When the party leaves Iso, Gilly goes with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they do.
Gilly's adventure is not over.
Yeah, special tool to help us later.
Yeah, like, you know, we had Gilly show up in the campaign, and I was like, if Gilly knows that the universe is dying, like, they want to help. They want to go out into space and, like, confront the void directly.
It has, it's dangerous to go alone, take this kind of vibes.
I mean, technically, Gilly did play a vital role in that, just not directly.
Yeah, and also, the Void was using their particular likeness to like as like a entity that was going around and destroying planets. So naturally, Gilly would be like, I don't like that at all.
No, and I can see how that would be like causing flashbacks for Gilly or some shit.
No, like it definitely plays into like one of Gilly's big anxieties from the last campaign. So like obviously they can't ignore that.
I like that we still called it the Demon Lord even after all of that. Like it's not Gilly. Gilly's not the Demon Lord anymore. Like 100%. Like not just because they're older now, but because we've given this actual fucking spawn of evil.
Okay, I guess while we're on this tangent, we can just cover the role that Gilly played in this.
Sure.
In that, due to the party's efforts, the void kept on getting broken down and shattering. And its core consciousness of like eventually got separated from the rest of it, and that's how we get one of my favorite new little freaks, Hyperpop. But in the process, the Demon Lord, not Gilly Nibs, but using the appearance, is the one that, like, kinda gobbles up all the other defeated generals, for their projects and kinda takes over as the overlord of the campaign. And do you want to say what happened between them and Gilly? Or do you want me?
Yeah, so like we were kind of like working out in voice chat and direct messages like what exactly like the Demon Lord is, and like it's not Gilly. Like it looks like Gilly in some ways, it thinks like Gilly, but like it is the Void, and like
it was an attempt to figure out how Gilly was uncorruptible. and trying to, like, learn and, like, counteract that.
Yeah, so you know, my thinking is it's kind of like the Demon Lord is kind of like an inverse of Gilly in the sense that, like, Gilly got the Blade of Darkest Night, this, like, void object, and, like, you know, it didn't, like, change who they were, but, like, it kind of, like, got inside their head and, like, started feeding them, like, intrusive thoughts, and you know, making them, like, a little more void-like in their sort of thinking. But, and then, like, the Demon Lord is the opposite, where, like, fundamentally they're the void, but, like, they have kind of, like, intrusive Gilly Nibs thoughts, like, giving them anxiety and, like, making them feel bad anytime they do something evil.
Yeah. And then, yeah. And Sparkle had put Gilly in a coma.
Yeah.
Yeah, do we want to... Yeah, that was fucking crazy.
Yeah, because, okay, here's Sparkle's final stand. Like, okay, getting back a little bit into suicidal ideation, my initial thought for Sparkle is, like, okay, what if she's this mean because, like, she wants she's, like, trying to make Vortex kill herself, and, like, that's how she's gonna take over. But then I was like, man, that's a little too dark, even for this terrible character. Like, okay, what if she's just, like, absorbing Vortex's energy and, like, taking over that way, and is just kind of, like, mean because she's fucking mean. Yeah, so eventually, like, Sparkle does absorb, like, the last of Vortex's energy, effectively, like, killing her. And, like, takes over Vortex's body and is like, great, I finally got rid of that loser nerd that everyone hates. People are gonna be so psyched to meet me now.
And we weren't. We were not.
No.
Also, while I'm here, hey, this guy is over here, like, using a void weapon. We hate the void, obviously. I'm like a creature made of light, and void is darkness. So obviously I gotta do something about that. Just, like, fucking hits Gilly with, like, I don't know, a massive, like, light beam or something that damages the Blade of Darkest Night and kind of knocks them into a coma.
Extremely funny, since, yes, Gilly's there with the Blade of Darkest Night, but, like, Treble is there with, like, command over void magic, like, way, like, more of explicitly.
Sparkle would have done something about Treble eventually, had they...
Treble wasn't in the same room at the time they took over.
Yeah, Treble would have been on their shit list, like, had Sparkle not immediately made enemies of everyone on the ship, just, like, right off the bat.
Yeah.
So, like, Vortex knew that this was probably coming, so she developed, like, a virus, essentially, that would, like, spread throughout her own body and kill all of the organelles. And so it was kind of up to the party to, like, you know, fight back Sparkle and, like, deliver inject the virus, like, after Vortex had been taken over. Or I think it was even, like, synthesize the virus using Vortex's equipment and then inject it.
Yeah, I think, like, Vortex used some, like, they were, like, she was, like, studying herself and, like, void people and, like, how all that worked. And I think it's just, like, interesting that, like, she's been doing science this whole time. She didn't just start off as a science lady. She did this whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, but then after Sparkle died, like, Vortex rebuilt her body again into like a form that more represents, like, what a mentally stable person would build if you told them to make like an anime robot.
So nothing we would make.
Still surprisingly horny.
Not unhorny. She's still got the boob window.
That's just good design. That has nothing to do with being horny. That's just good design.
It's just like she's wearing clothes also.
So true.
Yeah.
She also got a new Destiny playbook while this happened.
A Destiny playbook called The Survivor, and kind of like the core concept of that playbook is, you just can't fucking die.
Yeah.
The thing that usually makes you die, it doesn't do that anymore. You can have all your stats damaged, and actually that makes you stronger.
Yeah, Vortex, actually, who died once, resurrected, physically visited the afterlife, and then died again and had to sit in the waiting room of the afterlife, waiting to actually, like, not be recoverable.
Yeah, and, like, also, like, the build I had been, like, making for Vortex to this point was, like, was already fairly unkillable. Like, you know, it relied a lot, you know, a lot of what it did was just, like, you know, damage her stats to heal the party members and then just, like, heal her own stats so that, you know, she can just kind of keep going indefinitely. And I was like, fuck it. What if I just simplified things and gave her the you can't die playbook?
Yeah. It's now it's like, oh, she doesn't want to die also, so that's a great exactly. Like, I think even if it's like, oh no, you're fucking hard to kill, it's also like, oh, there's character development here, even though she's still silly, you know, she's still like got her like personality, but like she's also like, I want to survive and live with my friends.
I'm so proud of her.
Yeah, and like
proud of her.
Yeah, and I think like killing Sparkle was kind of like the last stage in her character development, because like kind of like a lot of her meanness and nastiness like comes from like the fact that she had experienced like so much social rejection throughout the course of her life, so it was kind of like an externalization of like her own self-hatred, and then once Sparkle killed her and then was defeated by her friends, she was like, okay, you know what? Actually, like, my biggest hater, my biggest hater, who I thought was, like, impossible to get rid of, like, they took their best shot, and guess what? I'm still here. I still have my friends with me. Like, actually, like, maybe I don't need to care so much about all those people who were mean to me. Maybe, like, I know that I'm gonna be fine because, like, I can have this confidence in myself and in my friends. Maybe I can, like, stop hating myself so much, and that made her a lot nicer.
I want to see her interactions now with Gal, now that they've both, like, changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
You know? Because Gal had her own adventure on ISO while we were doing stuff, which is fun. I don't even know how much you've talked about Gal, like, before I jumped on this. I just was like, she's an important character because that's kind of who that's kind of who Vortex blamed a lot at first. For her, like, changes.
I mentioned the thing about Gal was kind of originally designed to be someone to have things in common with Vortex and be their friend.
Yeah.
And then Vortex was just, like, immediately extremely, extremely like put off by Gal's like weirdo behavior. It's kind of like the thing where, like, you know, there's kind of like a hierarchy of loser nerds in high school where it's like, yeah, I'm a loser nerd, but like I'm not like this fucking weirdo over here.
Yeah, and every time, so the thing about Vortex through the entire campaign was you did like almost always say like, yeah, she's all about friendship and the power of friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And every time there was an opportunity to use the power of friendship or make friends, Vortex chose to make enemies and be hateful instead. Up until like the last little mini arc of the campaign, pretty much.
She likes the power of friendship in theory. Her social skills don't always get her there, though.
Oh, I mean, she was the one probably most instrumental in saving the soul of the Void's consciousness, though.
Yeah, that was another thing, and that's kind of why they ended up like following Vortex in the epilogue stuff, because like they were like, "Oh, you're the one with the friendship power, and I like that, and I want to be like that now." And it's just funny.
Quickly interject. I'm really starting to fall asleep, so I am gonna talk about this was amazing. I love you guys' campaign, and I'm gonna listen to the rest of it when the edit is done.
Yeah,
hell yeah!
Okay.
All right,
Night.
Peace out.
Good night.
See ya.
It's gonna be interesting to edit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just, there's something very funny that's like, oh yeah, she like struggled with it until the end, and then she like made the biggest difference. And I was like, in some ways you're like, if you're just following one of our characters, you're like, oh, they can have a whole like anime plot to themselves. But then it's like, you look at everyone else and they also do, because like I talked a little bit about Troubles, but like they're like, they have a lot of stuff with like the Void, and I feel like a lot of times like the anime character with like the bad guy's magic, using it for good, is like its own thing. And then like Arla, I don't remember how much we've talked about Arla.
We haven't.
Yeah, we have to have Pat on to maybe like discuss her more in detail. Yeah. But just like
Dan for Ronnie and Gamble also.
Yeah, because Dan was only on for the Otherworldly Company stuff. But but like if you look at Arla, she's just like she's got this whole like, oh, I wish I was going on an adventure, and then she got what she wanted, for better and worse. And like had to like figure out, you know, herself and like who she wanted to follow, and that was like her whole like anime story arc of like just being like, oh, actually I want to follow myself, and I don't need to listen to people unless I want to, you know, like I get to choose this instead of just like. And it's just funny that, like, Fellowship is, like, this game where you can just have, like, a billion main characters, but all working together.
That is the thing that I will absolutely take no credit for this, but we somehow basically managed to have every player be playing the main character from a certain point of view.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's so funny and fun without it being like, it never really felt like someone was taking too much. Like, we had our moments of spotlight, but we weren't like, you know, and like, I don't want to speak for everyone if they don't feel that way, but like, that's how I felt anyway. And like, I just think that's funny, because at first I was like, oh no, I'm making Trouble the fucking main character. They're the one that's like fighting the void and making it their own, and they're, oh no, they're edgy, but like, no, they're not. They never really even got to the point of being edgy. They were also like, friendship is important to me in a different way, maybe the Vortex, but I just think it's funny that like they both were like, and then Ronnie had friendship magic too, because
no, Ronnie had the power of love.
Yeah. I just meant specifically because they picked up a modification of the Squire playbook, which is the Friendship is Magic playbook. Yeah. But so is the mascot, kind of, but so is, But you're right.
Fellowship, good.
Fellowship is a pretty good game.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But I like that. I don't know if any of us imagined necessarily like redeeming the void, but also still ending up killing part of the void, but also like, we had all these like different things in mind. We were just like, it's just fun how it ended up. I don't know.
I was making myself jump through so many hoops while spinning so many plates, trying to make a situation where everything that people said they would like to have happen for what happens with the void were all simultaneously true.
That sounds exhausting.
That is, well, yes. I mean, I said yesterday, just for various reasons, yesterday was emotionally draining for me.
Yeah.
Anything else on Vortex? Because I would like a treble update.
Can I just go through like some quick Vortex facts?
Please.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's see. I don't think I've ever said this anywhere before. Well, part 1, I have said this. Her favorite anime is Naruto. And also, like, part of, like, the conception of her character was, like, I know this kind of person exists, but it's kind of hard to wrap my head around. Like, a kind of person who, like, knows a lot of anime and, like, watches anime and is an anime fan in general, but their favorite show is Naruto, of all things. That, to me, is a special kind of freak.
Please tell me about the 2 items that we know she got from Same.
Oh, buddy, we'll get there.
Okay.
That's one of the things that's one of the Vortex facts, but we'll get to it. Okay. The name Vortex is... She did choose that name because of the Uzumaki family naming convention of, like, naming yourself after a spirally thing.
Is this a Naruto reference?
Yes.
It's a Naruto reference. So,
I mean, to be fair, there is a Uzumaki horror, but like
there's the spiral headband thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, the character's name is Naruto Uzumaki. Like, Naruto is, I think, like a fish cracker or something that has a spiral pattern on it. His son is Boruto, which which is bolt, essentially, as in, like, nuts and bolts from a hardware store, and that also has a spiral on it. So they just name themselves after spirally things, and that's what Vortex did.
Vortex is like me. I'm Spiral.
It's her. So Vortex has had 2 Dakimakura over the course of the campaign. First one I was just like, Man, what's like a classic what's like an iconic anime character that you just like, you know, what's an anime-ass anime character, but also one that would be really funny to have as a body pillow. And I was like, oh, Doraemon.
Yep.
Doraemon. Yeah, pretty good.
Pretty good. That one died when the ship exploded. So then she went to Same's discount Dakimakura warehouse and got herself a Yamcha death pose body pillow.
That was such a fucking... I don't even remember if it was me who came up with it or if it was me that was just trying to look up, like, if that existed in real life. I think it might have been the latter, but I don't know. When we looked it up, we couldn't find one, but, like, isn't that such a good idea for a body pillow?
Yes.
Yeah. I also remember you found an image of a Doraemon body pillow.
Yeah, I did. I sure did.
You sure did.
That was an interesting session.
Yeah.
Sure was.
God. And yeah, she did you say how she prefers dub to sub?
Yeah, she she only watches dubbed anime.
And not like, which is it kind of makes sense because it's also like, I mean, she's not, you know, it's common or whatever it's not even is not her native tongue either, because her native tongue is light flashing.
She learned to speak English so that she could watch anime in its native language.
It's native. Great.
Parentheses English.
Yep.
She's such a weirdo.
That's something that I think her and Same disagree on, but otherwise they get along pretty well.
Yeah, no, she and Same were enemies at first because because they disagreed over dubs versus subs, but then they came to an understanding. Vortex went to Same because she was like, listen, I know we've had our disagreements in the past, but I carry a pain that I know only you would understand. I have bad news about Doraemon.
Don't worry. We're going long, but we are gonna talk about Same again before we're done.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, let's get that trouble update.
I don't remember how far I got in the fucking... I'm mad at myself. I should have listened to the episode before. But I mean, I was late to this because I fucking felt like shit and was asleep. Yeah, everyone.
Well, is there anything in the second phase of the campaign that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I did talk about how Treble, like, got, you know, lantern powers, modified, inverted lantern powers that is control over the void. I kind of mentioned that in passing, why Sparkle would have not liked them and would have killed them eventually had they gotten a chance. But
Nightcore is so good.
Nightcore is, like, it's fun because we've had multiple alive lanterns, including Sparkle, unfortunately. But, because there was, and then Little Guy, who's, like, funny and, like, has a funny voice. Nightcore is just, like, a sweetheart, because they're just, like, very nice and very naive and very, like less now. They did mature pretty fast, but, you know, they kind of were at first treated and acted like Trouble's, like, child, kind of, but now they're more like equals because, you know, they do have memories of, like, Trouble, like, all of their memories pre, like, formation are, like, I was Trouble at one point and now I am my own thing. But also...
Nightcore?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, and just Nightcore got the last word in with the Void.
Yeah, Nightcore was the last one to talk to the Void and said it's over.
Not technically not the one who destroyed the Demon Lord, but I got the last word in.
Yeah,
which was kind of amazing.
Yeah, that's why I wanted them to talk, because I was like, Nightcore was very important, but at a certain point when Trouble got their Destiny playbook after my modified I call it Void Collar, but the modified Lantern playbook, and I went to Guardian, which funny enough is kind of the Destiny playbook variation of the Rain playbook. So it made them goopier. They ended up doing a lot of fighting with their own body, their own goopiness and stuff. It kind of what made them they became more voidy, but also we're still definitely Trouble. So I wanted to make sure that Nightcore still had the last I'm gonna say something before this is all over. Trouble ended up very, very strong. They weren't unkillable like Vortex was, but they did kill an entire Void Army group of the fake Jericho's guys just in one roll. Which is crazy.
No, the last few sessions of the campaign, I think there were only 2 low rolls throughout multiple sessions.
Yeah.
But even then, all throughout the campaign, Trouble kept on just being the One Punch Man of the party, just repeatedly a single attack wiping out groups.
Yeah.
That's what happens when the campaign runs long enough that we all get to have 4 playbooks.
Oh, no, I mean even in the first few sessions it was happening.
Yeah, because I had stuff like Uncontrollable Strength and Toss Around. The Ogre playbook definitely starts off as the Beat Stick playbook. You can definitely treat them as big oafish fighter characters. Trouble did not end up that way for a multitude of reasons, but they did. It comes with drawbacks because it also comes with stuff you can cause danger to your allies, so you have to think about where you're striking people from and how much strength you're using, and this ended up being more of a problem, not problem, but more of a thing for Vortex, because Fellowship has this thing where we pass on moves to our allies, and Trouble ended up passing on Protect the Little Ones to Vortex. So even when it's this move where you can take damage for other people, and whether you want to or not, and that works a lot better when you're an unkillable survivor than it does when you're Trouble, I guess. But I think maybe I ended up talking about everything up to the time we were at the Puzzlewood fighting Jericho. I think we were just doing that stuff when I talked about Trouble last time. And what happened since then? I mean, I'm not sure, because a lot of it was just making plans to fight the Demon Lord. We had to travel to Iso and decide if we wanted to give the Demon Lord the core of the void, who we were calling Hyperpop. Hyperpop and Harmony, because the ogre patrons, like the ogre patron saints, or I called them the patrons, were all named as like the patron saint of death and dirges, patron saint of ska and summer, I think is maybe the one that had the most show in the campaign. But so we were like, I guess Hyperpop and Harmony, like we just they decided they wanted to be like an ogre, like an old, and I think that's funny because like they were like, I don't want to be this, so they were like this beholder looking creature because that's what the fake Jericho wanted them to be, because he had this whole plan of like the Puzzlewood is the D&D world now. And then the Void Core at the time kept learning awful things about this Jericho because he just was a terrible person, like worse than even the irregular original guy, because he was just like, I don't care about that guy anymore, that dude sucks and I suck, but in a different way. And so the core was just like, well, actually, I want to follow this whole like group of people that are talking about friendship. I'm scared of some of them because they do keep talking about destroying the void, but eventually there was an understanding of we just don't want to get destroyed back. So we're kind of destroying you if you destroy us, I guess. But if you're just like chill, then we'll be chill, But the
power of friendship.
The Demon Lord was like, I will not be chill. I refuse. No. I'm irredeemable. That was one of their stats. But a lot of, we talked about Vortex did a lot of the legwork for the talk that made Hyperpop, who ended up taking the name Hyperpop, wanting to be good, I guess, and but they also wanted to be like Nightcore. They wanted to be they were like, wow, I literally like this void looking guy that looked like me.
Nightcore was his first friend.
Yeah, and Nightcore was his first friend. Like, even when we all like were in the room with Jericho and Hyperpop, like Nightcore ended up going over and talking to Hyperpop like while everyone else was dealing with Jericho, because they were like, I want to be friends with this guy. I want to be friends. I want to be everyone's friend. Enough that eventually Nightcore, when I think I went into like Troy a little bit last time, and how like that's kind of when Nightcore came around, was when Trouble talked to Troy and was like, there's this weird shit happening to me more than before. And I was like, oh, there's just a guy part of me now. Cool. Okay. Troy gave Treble a little box that we kept calling the last resort. And I kind of knew, like, after some talking with Izzy, like, oh, this is the fruit of knowledge, like, from Bible. Kind of, It could have been really anything, but, like, that was kind of what we were leaning towards, and that is what it ended up ultimately being. And we kind of didn't even use it for the last resort stuff, but it was nice to have.
No, that is actually what I hoped for more than anything else, was that it wouldn't be used.
Yeah.
You resisted the temptation.
Damn.
Vortex did eat it
that
a
is
little
how
bit.
Treble is. Yeah, I mean, that is how Treble is better than Troy.
Yeah, and they did offer it up to friends. They offered it up to Vortex specifically. They were like, don't take a big bite, take a little teeny one, and get some knowledge just so he can like defeat the Demon Lord. And that's how we powered through. We probably could have even just done it with some rolls, but I thought it was interesting, Treble like wanting to finally see like what it was and if it could help here. Because I think like even though they're curious, you know, like they are curious by nature and they've been resisting this long, and I do think like at a certain point it's like you gotta look, right? And it's like, well, this is as good a time as any, I think. And Nightcore took the first bite, actually, before Vortex did, and was asked like, what's the thing that Nightcore wants more than anything, and to know more than anything, and they wanted to know how to be a friend. I said it like that. I said how to be a friend, how to be a friend, you know, and so
how to be a better friend,
and they did, and like they also kind of were like they were already, like I said, rapidly kind of developing their own voice. They kind of went through a very short teenager phase, you know. This kind of probably finished it off, but like they were already kind of becoming their own guy, you know, and now they're like, they knew they were kind of the one that was like, yeah, Vortex, don't bite too much of this. And also it was kind of nice that like everyone saw the fruit and weren't like, I'm going to steal this from Treble. Because no one's like that. We're all, you know, we were kind of like to this point of like, we're good kind of where we are. We don't necessarily need this at this point. And we just needed it for like developing. It ended up being like a virus or like a vaccine similar to what we did with Sparkle. Just to make sure that the last part, the irredeemable parts of the void could like for real die.
Yeah, Vortex was hey, remember how you made a virus that like killed all the light out of me? What if we did the opposite? What if we made a virus that fucking causes the void to essentially generate its own weakness?
Yeah, like, yeah, what if you made something that just started spewing out antimatter and it annihilated you?
Oh yeah, that's one thing I forgot to say about Vortex. Yeah, like after she became no longer bioluminescent, she did, in order to like more fully integrate with her suit, she did just like sort of integrate her entire body with like specialized nanomachine slime that like essentially becomes like, yeah, essentially going like full cyborg with it, to the part where like on a cellular level she is like part organic, part machine. And also because of that she got a cool RGB effects for her entire body.
Yeah, like even to the point where like there was actually a moment where the Demon Lord like tried to separate her from the robot body, and it did not fully work. Like there was still a vortex inside of the body, and like moved later, because that was just one of the stats the Demon Lord had, was like being able to steal something from you. And that was kind of a problem at one point, because Treble still had the fruit on them, and they stole a little bite of the fruit. And that's no good. But really, what they ended up using it for was, because I think they were like so determined to find Hyperpop, they just used it to figure out where Hyperpop was. But yeah, at the end, when we did everyone did the last blow, we ended up reaching. I just had this image in my head of reaching in and getting the fucking apple piece out, which is such a gross and weird thing to think of. But I think Treble does have that piece still, as well as the apple. I don't think I said that in game, but I was like, yeah, I think they kept the whole what they have left, which is nasty.
Yep.
That's gross, dude.
That's a little gross.
Yeah, I don't know what else they would do with it, is the thing.
I mean, that is kind of a dangerous substance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't want this thing to use this later somehow. And then, of course, they exploded into light particles, but, like, Trouble wanted to make sure.
Yeah, look, maybe that comes up during the epilogue.
It might.
Maybe it doesn't.
It might. I might have an idea for it. If you don't, you know?
Okay. Yeah. Anything else?
There was a period of a few sessions, like, more than I thought there would be, where Vortex was only able to talk using text-to-speech, because...
And you did it so well.
It was really fucking hard, though. It was like, how do I say this sentence in the way that a computer would say it, and make it so that it sounds wrong, sounds wrong and flat and like a computer voice, but also make it funny. It was hard to do. I didn't like it.
You did so well, though.
You did really well.
It was equally funny and heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because Vortex was in bad shape.
Yeah, no. And it sucked because that was also like Sparkle was still around, tormenting her.
Yeah.
And jeez. So one thing is, sometimes I was like, how is she talking to me right now? Just because I was like,
with the tablet.
Yeah, right. But like, I was like, damn, she's a crazy multitasker.
Yeah.
But I was also,
well, listen,
part of me,
she is, like, even before, like, she was using, like, yeah, kind of the thing about Vortex is, like, even before she, like, built her Tinker suit, before she had, like, her cyborg body, like, she kind of, like, had to exert all the focus of, like, maintaining a humanoid shape and essentially, like, creating alien, like, pseudo-organs, like, making vocal cords, like, vibrating in a way that, like, causes speech sounds. Like, she's fundamentally someone who is, like, not a person, trying very hard to, like, do their best person impression. Certainly that doesn't have anything to do with, like, me being neurodivergent or anything, though. Don't worry about it.
It's, that's, Wow, It's funny that Treble became less, like, put together as the sessions went on, really kind of also, and was like, oh, maybe they're also, like, not fully a guy. I wonder if that means anything. I don't know. Probably not. It's nothing.
Who could say?
Okay. Can anything else, and then I can go? For a little thing?
I'm good, I think.
I don't have anything else in mind.
Like, I don't think this is going to be our last ESO, because like I said, we have to have Pat and Dan on.
Yeah. But, so, while all of this was going on, in total, probably, like, around a year passed on ESO, Xenu and Jolene and Gal all had a little adventure, back in the main campaign. The Demon Lord broke into the ship, while the party was away, and talked with Gilly, who was still unconscious, and jammed the Gilly parts of themselves into the Blade of Darkest Night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got rid of that annoying, like, what do you call it? Conscience?
Yeah.
They got rid of the annoying part that gives them anxiety when they do stuff like eat a planet.
Yeah. Also had the side effect of healing Gilly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it made the Blade of Darkest Night less broken, which kind of woke Gilly up, because Blade of Darkest Night is a part of Gilly at this point.
Yeah, and then so the part where I bully you a little bit, yeah. So while everyone was away, Xenu had the most cracked out conversation with Same.
God damn it.
Yeah, and so when they brought Gilly back to Iso, Xenu kind of grabbed Gilly before they even set foot on the ground. And became a bawling mess. But in a very bizarre way proposed to Gilly.
Yeah.
Yeah, what the fuck?
And Gilly was like, wait, last time we saw each other, weren't we having a fight? Aren't I supposed to be in trouble right now? What's going on?
I mean, kind of that's part of why Xenu was, like, became such an absolute mess, was Gilly getting that out first. Which, like, took away all of Xenu's heartache and fears about how they had last seen each other. But yes, like, Xenu is, like, absolutely 100% Arrow Ace. So, yeah, she just, like... There was no answer, and there probably won't be an answer for a while, but yeah, it was just like, she really just wants to spend as much time with her best friend, who is kind of the focus of her life. Like there is an in-game term for it, Kelly.
Fantasy QPR, that's right.
Yes. So, yes, it's just like, she has a very weird understanding of emotions and relationships, but she talked with Same and was kind of told by Same why people get married, and she's like, I would like that with Gilly. Which is just really fucked up for everyone.
She's trying her best.
And Gilly's... Yeah.
She sure is.
Yeah, Gilly's response was like, well, I hadn't thought about it before, so I can't really give you an answer.
Also the question of, did I miss any signs? It's like, no.
I love the idea. Like, Gilly's just like, I don't think I've thought about marrying literally anyone, so...
That's exactly
like,
right.
They're just kind of like, I guess if I was gonna have to marry someone at gunpoint, it would be Xenu, but, like, I don't want to marry... I don't know. And I'm like,
okay, I mean...
I'm saying that as kind of a joke. I don't mean it like that. I know they're like... Telly, but like, so it's closer than that. It's not like, oh, I want at gunpoint, who would you marry? But it's more just like, if you had, if you were gonna get married, who would it be to, kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, and ultimately, somehow in the epilogue, there will probably be a minimum of 2 marriages anyway.
Yeah, because Dan's 2 characters are gonna get married, and Gal and Jolene are probably going to get married. Which is incredible. And Trouble got rejected, and I think I talked about that last time, but like that's just so funny because like why, first of all, the most peril they've been in the second half of the fucking campaign was because of a perfume department, an evil goose, and a confession of their feelings accidentally.
Oh, I love that when Vortex went into, like, the heightened emotion, like, ultimate drama zone, she was just like, yeah, I'm fine. I love my friends. I just conquered death, and I feel good, and nothing can ruin that.
But yeah, and now at this point, it's kind of funny and kind of sad, because Arla is the only one at the moment staying back on the planet that we all saved, that Trouble and Arla are from. And Trouble just actually ended up going back to Iso for epilogue stuff. I think that's good. I think that's good for them to have some alone time.
Yes.
But I was also just like, damn. Through all that. And then Arla was like, y'all need to flirt with Trouble on the fucking ship back. And it's like, no, don't do that, please.
Please, someone go on a pity date with Trouble.
That's so sad, dude.
I mean, Arla, one of the people that Arla said that to is someone who is never not flirting with everyone.
Yeah.
So it probably worked out.
Yeah, probably. But I also cannot imagine Sappho Goth going on a date with Trouble.
God, Sappho Goth is the best throwaway joke character.
Yeah. Maybe they'll come back. I hope they come back somehow.
Please, no.
No, just like an epilogue stuff. They're not gonna like live into the far future. Yes.
Izzy's character in Fellowship Part 3.
Right. We kind of that would be very interesting because I probably could allow something like that to happen. It would have to be like she was in fucking cryostasis.
Look, we have so many ways that we can fuck around with things. Gosh.
But that's, I can't be thinking about that when I have Eidolon to plan.
Yeah. Look, I am so excited to get back to Eidolon, but also, I promise you, I would not play Sappho Goth in a campaign.
That's fine.
There is no desire or drive there, ironically.
For sure. No, that's... Sometimes it's better to have a character as an NPC than as a PC,
Yeah. I mean, they exist to make a pun.
And it's a good one. Yeah, I think I don't have anything, pressing to talk about, because a lot of what I would want to is, hasn't happened yet, because it's a lot of, epilogue stuff I've been thinking about, but...
Yeah, and we don't have to go fast on that. In some ways I did extended epilogue stuff throughout this campaign from the first campaign.
Right. In a way, this was all Gilly's epilogue. An epilogue adventure into the fucking space. Into space. It's fine, they're alive. That's all that matters. They're alive. They're with their telly, even if she's crying and proposed.
I mean, also, like, so the audience knows, it's like, how does, in case anyone is, like, actually thinking it through, she never said the proposal. She had written it down ahead of time in her journal.
God.
On the final page. Because she knows herself well enough. She knew she was probably gonna be a mess, but she wanted to do it.
She should have done text to speech.
God damn it.
Oh, I mean, also, like, she was gonna be giving the journal to Gilly in the first place. That's, like, why she started writing it. Which, also, like, that journal is also a real physical book that I've been writing in for months.
Yeah, it's a whole ass project for Izzy. You're getting... You're like very invested in this facet of the character, and that's really cool.
It's super cool. Yeah.
Like, we joked before in one of your question of the week or question of the day or whatever it was. It's like, yes, it's like, in a lot of ways, Xenu would be my stand.
Yeah. I called Dino your persona at some point, which was a joke, but, like...
Not entirely wrong.
No, not entirely wrong.
But now you have one of those, so...
Yeah, also, like, she ended up dropping some of the more animalistic features. Before her body became permanent.
But now she's also kind of dragony, so she's kind of got some other animal features.
Oh, she is so mixed up. Hey, that's probably a good way of segueing. Hey, if you're wondering about, sometimes having question of the day or question of the week or whatever, or you want to see pictures of what Xenu looks like now, you can find that stuff on our Discord. It's in the show notes.
Yeah.
We also do some group watches on Mondays, some art streams on Fridays, and random other streams occasionally other times. And since I don't do any social media, that's the only place you'll find me.
Yeah. As for myself, you can find me at Hunting the Morg on Tumblr and Blue Sky, and then Gengar on co-host. You can find me on my other podcast, The Sonic Hustle, a complete and holistic Sonic lore podcast. Sorry, I'm still getting used to the change. And that's kind of it for me.
I'm on a podcast called We Rate Queerbait, where we explore the blurry line between homie and homo. I'm also on an upcoming audio drama pilot. I also have a Furfinity account with the username Space Robot. I won't plug commissions right now because I have a job and it makes me tired.
Rip. But you can also find this podcast on social media too. Check out this guy on Tumblr and co-host. I did make a Blue Sky account because it's open to everyone now, but like nothing's there. So just look at the Tumblr, honestly.
Yeah.
That's where it's like the most up to date. But yeah. And then you can find this podcast on Noisepace.xyz, a podcast network where we love to be hosted, and where both my podcasts are actually on there. Lots of good stuff on there, and yeah, I think that's it. Usually Emory does this when they're on these episodes, so
yeah. Yeah, I think that's all.
Yeah, I mean, and hey, the audience gets a freaking double-length episode, I guess.
Yeah, I guess fucking
yeah, this was a fucking long one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so
you know I'm to blame.
A treat for us, to you. But no, I also joined in later, so, to be fair. So, I feel like there should be, like, some kind of, like, ESO greeting and goodbye. But there isn't, as far as I know, that we could do.
No, but, you know, one nice thing about ESO is they do have a whole ass McDonald's, and the ice cream machine always works because of magic.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hooray.
I hope.
So let's go to McDonald's.
Let's go to Slimegirl Hell.
Slimegirl Hell is not real.
I beg to differ.
Regular hell exists, though. It's called the Underworld. Okay, good night, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Good night, everyone.